The kind of like the impetus for making the second one was the feedback that I got on the first game. So a lot of people had a lot of different feedback on the first game and things that they wanted to see that they weren't able to do, or ways that I could have handled something differently. And so that kind of feedback is what made me want to make a sequel. I'm Kyle Seeley. I made Emily is Away, and I'm working on Emily is Away 2. So the sequel is kind of taking all that feedback on the first game and using that as the launching point to see where we can go with like kind of this design. So there's pressure on it to be good, or at least live up to the first game, but at the same time, like, everybody who played the first one and reacted that way to the first one seemed to react positively. It kind of makes you want to create something different. And this is the first time that I've been in that situation in my career, right? Because the first game that I came out with, nobody knew anything about me or whatever. And now this one is actually something that, like, if I say, oh, this is coming out in a month, people actually like kind of care about it, which is kind of weird. So that being in that position is like pretty cool. I think the kind of funny Let's Play might be my favorite Let's Play of the first game.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Let's Play here on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the pure wit Tim Geddes.
Let Tim host. I haven't said that in a long damn time.
I'm glad I was here for you. Damn.
Really, because it happened at a point where the game was still relatively unknown. Like, nobody had done really a Let's Play of it. The back and forth between them and the emergent situations that came out of the game's gameplay, because, you know, when you make a game like that, you want to have these moments of like, oh man, and like excitement and confusion and like all these different emotions. But watching two people play it and experience it together, it became more than the sum of its parts. And it opened up the dialogue for them to kind of like talk about where they were in high school and like all this interesting stuff. And I think that's when I really realized that, like, I made something that I totally didn't intend to make. I think I started thinking of the story kind of just for fun, like 3 months after the first game came out. Around 6 months after it is when I really started attacking it. Because immediately after the first one came out, I started getting feedback like, I really like that I can talk to this one girl, Emily, but I really want to talk to the other characters that are on this buddy list, because I see that my story affects them as well. When you think about when you're actually in 2006 chatting with people online, like, we didn't just have conversations with one person, you had a bunch of conversations going on at the same time. That idea of multiple conversations in these complex dynamic relationships put into the Emily is Away kind of gameplay experience was kind of the idea behind Emily 2. Emily and Evelyn are just two of the personality types that I think I gravitated towards personally when I was in high school. I have a bunch of memories and experiences that are with multiple people that have been kind of condensed down into these two characters. So Emily is kind of more reserved, and she's one of your close friends. She's into games and alternative music and stuff. And Evelyn's more of like a punk rock, more like rebel. And I think that when I was growing up, these two personalities I gravitated to kind of both those cliques, because I wanted the characters to feel distinct and different, and they have their own motivations and stuff, and quirks and personality traits. I really wanted to make these people feel like real characters instead of just a bunch of adjectives, like kind of just like, you know, tied together. One way that I got myself really excited about going back and designing this game again was this idea of trying to encapsulate more of how we portrayed ourselves online in 2006. So the first game is a full screen experience, right? It takes over your full screen, it has a desktop, it has its own mock taskbar and different windows and stuff. But really you're only on AOL Instant Messenger talking to these other characters. It was really important to me to have more things outside of the messenger that helped convey the narrative, kind of ground the game in its source material, which is like real teenagers in 2006, how we portrayed ourselves online. In 2006, that's the birth of Facebook, YouTube. Right now, internet's dominated by Newgrounds and YTMND, so it's all really important for me to get those sites into the game. And the only way I could really see to do that was to make the game itself just an application, like it would have been. So just a chat application. It sits on your real desktop. It's got your real operating system behind it, and it can open up links to YouTube and Facebook and all these different 2006 era websites. And it uses those links to kind of convey a narrative. Because when you're talking with someone online in high school in like 2006, you're not just having a conversation, right? There's a bunch of other things going on your computer. It really opened the opportunity to have a bunch of different narrative mechanics that told the story. You can like look at these characters' Facebook profiles and they like write those notes that everybody wrote in 2006 where it's like the worst questions, like the most leading questions in the world, like did you kiss the last person you texted? And so it was really important for me to go back and have new things to do. And one of those new things was encapsulating more of the 2006 culture. So I was using a lot of source materials. The Wayback Machine, it was immensely helpful in recreating all these old websites. We'd go back there and like grab source images and kind of like look at the content and try to figure out like, oh, what was the most watched video in 2006? Because let's put that on YouTube. And one of the funny things is all the YouTube videos that are in the game, most of the comments are actual comments from 2006, from using the Wayback Machine. And it's really interesting to notice the differences between like comment etiquette now versus in 2006. You see a lot less capitalizations, a lot more like hacker, typer kind of stuff, because that was still cool back then, but it's like not cool anymore. I still remember old Facebook where it was Mark Zuckerberg's profile in the top left in the light blue. I started Facebook when I was in middle school. The end of my middle school career is when Facebook came out. And so there's pictures of me as like a high schooler on Facebook. Like pictures of me like doing imitation jackass stunts, right? Because I thought I was so cool. And now professional contacts try to contact me on Facebook. And it's like, oh my God, like what am I supposed to do in this scenario, right? In terms of our generation, when we got Facebook, we were young enough to do stupid shit on Facebook, but now we're old enough where we don't want people to see that stupid shit. Like we weren't old enough to get Facebook and know what the internet was really, or what it was gonna be. So yeah, it's an interesting situation to be in. It's figuring out how wide-ranging the internet actually is. Emily is Away, the first game, takes place between 2002 and 2006. And so this game kind of takes place where it leaves off, but it's only focusing on that year, 2006 to 2007, because that's more when I was in that actual position of being in high school. It was really cool to go back and think about like, oh, what was really important to me? And that was like punk rock, like Census Fail, Against Me, it was like huge, and like Snow Patrol, Arcade Fire, Sigur Rós were all like instrumental in me growing up through that period. These are songs that were really important to me and my friends when I was young because they were big hits in those in that 2006-2007 era. So I know that it's going to also like correlate to being really nostalgic for other people. I make so much art for these games, but it's just like pixelated version of art that already exists. And it kind of doesn't really hit you that like, oh, I'm pixelating the album cover to Against Me right now from 10 years ago. Like it's kind of a weird position to be in. I think it's maybe what I like doing most is that kind of nostalgic stuff, because it is nostalgic for me as well as being nostalgic for who the audience for this game would be. You know, I just play Against Me albums on repeat when I'm writing the dialogue for Evelyn, and I'll play Snow Patrol on repeat when I'm writing the dialogue for Emily, to kind of get into their different personas. It's great to go back and listen to it and feel old and stuff. I worked really hard on this one, as evidenced by it being 10 times as large as the first game. I didn't want to do something that could have been viewed as like, oh, it's just a cash grab, or it's like, oh, it's just like him trying to use that same IP and manipulate people or something. But yeah, that was definitely in my mind as like, it needs to live up to at least the first game. When coming back to it, I was like, you know, the cool thing about Emily is Away is that it's just the skin, really, that's the mechanics of the game. And so you can just do whatever you want in that. So I can tell this much deeper, more dynamic story with that same skin and make that the spiritual successor. Yeah.